Welcome to The Explainer. I am so pumped you're here today because, well, we're doing something a bit different, and honestly, it's absolutely fascinating. We all see motivational images literally every single day. You know the ones, popping up on our feeds, pinned to office break room walls, or dropped in group chats by that one super enthusiastic relative at 6 in the morning. Usually, we just glance at them, maybe feel a quick little burst of inspiration, and scroll right on by. But have you ever actually stopped to wonder why they work? Well, today we're setting the stage for a forensic deep dive into the absolute mechanics of visual communication. We're going to take a single, everyday motivational image and completely deconstruct it layer by layer to understand the exact architecture of inspiration. So, what exactly makes us feel inspired? It's a pretty massive question, right? We kind of tend to think of motivation as this spontaneous, almost magical feeling that just sort of washes over us out of nowhere. But the reality, especially when we're talking about media and visual design, motivation is actually a carefully constructed formula. It's a highly precise recipe of text, color, psychology, and visual metaphors, all deliberately designed to trigger a very specific emotional response right there in your brain. Okay, let's dive right into this. Take a look at our primary source material for today. This right here is the ultimate motivational canvas. Just take a second and let your eyes wander over the whole thing. It is incredibly dense, right? We've got this intense compilation of text and visuals happening all at the exact same time. There's a hiker, a truly spectacular mountain range, this beautiful sea of clouds, a sunrise, and just layers upon layers of bold, capitalized text. Now, on the surface, sure, it's just a nice picture with some nice words. But as we start to break this apart, you're going to see that not a single pixel or syllable here is an accident. Part 1. The anatomy of inspiration. Let's start breaking it down. Beginning our micro to macro breakdown right at the very top, the piece kicks off with this massive, commanding text, "Good morning, believe in yourself." Now, if we isolate this entirely from the background landscape, we can really appreciate the imperative intent behind it. The energetic tone is absolutely undeniable. Good morning isn't just a polite greeting here. In this context, it represents a clean slate, a new dawn, a totally fresh opportunity to go out and achieve. And then, believe in yourself is a direct, imperative command. Notice it doesn't ask how you're feeling today, it tells you exactly what your mindset needs to be before you even begin to process the rest of the message. It's a highly aggressive injection of positivity. Moving on to part 2, visualizing the summit. Let's look at how this builds visually. As we shift our focus from that opening text to the expansive visual elements taking up the vast majority of our canvas, we're seeing a deliberate, almost perfectly executed checklist of motivational tropes. First off, we've got the golden hour sunrise peeking right over the horizon. That's a universal symbol of hope and new beginnings. Then, look at the landscape itself. You have these rugged peaks piercing through a stunning cloud inversion. This is communicating that the subject has literally risen above the ordinary, right above the fog of daily life and up into a space of absolute clarity. The heavy outdoor gear, the backpack, the trekking poles, they tell us this wasn't just some easy afternoon stroll. It required real preparation, endurance, and serious effort. And finally, we get the most literal symbol of all, a small pennant flag attached to a trekking pole that simply reads, "Conquered." It leaves absolutely zero ambiguity about the narrative we're supposed to take away. Now, what's really interesting here is the physical positioning of the subject. Just look closely at where she's actually standing. She is right on the precarious edge of a jagged rock formation, with what looks like a massive drop-off immediately to her left. Her arms are thrown up in absolute triumph, yet her footing is incredibly narrow. The creator deliberately tied visual peril directly to the emotional impact. Think about it. If she were just standing in a flat, totally safe meadow, the victory would feel kind of hollow, wouldn't it? The danger actually heightens the sense of achievement. The message here is loud and clear. True triumph exists right on the edge of your comfort zone. Which brings us to part 3, the power of authority. Let's look at what grounds this visual high. So we've firmly established the visual high, but now we need to look at the authoritative text that anchors the entire composition. Smacked right in the lower middle, basically hovering over that chasm, is this quote, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts," attributed to Winston Churchill. Just think about the mechanics of doing that. We have this ultra-modern, high-definition, essentially Instagram-perfect visual, and boom, it is suddenly anchored by the historical gravity and weight of a wartime prime minister. Citing a historical figure of that massive magnitude instantly elevates the whole thing from a simple, sunny greeting to a profound philosophical statement. Let's quickly look at the thematic juxtaposition set up by this quote. Success is not final versus failure is not fatal. It is entirely about balance. And notice how brilliantly this actually mirrors the physical reality of the visual we were just analyzing. Just like a hiker requires extreme physical balance to stand on that precarious mountain peak without tumbling off, the quote is arguing that navigating life requires extreme emotional balance. You simply can't let success make you complacent, and you absolutely can't let failure destroy you. So the really crucial point here is how this quote fundamentally redefines the entire message. If we only had the hiker and that conquered flag, the story would basically be about the end of the journey, right? The final victory. But the quote changes the whole shebang. Courage is explicitly defined here as the act of continuing forward. It tells us that even though she has conquered the specific peak today, well, there's going to be another one tomorrow. Courage isn't planting the flag, courage is the ongoing process itself. And finally, part 4, the final push. Let's look at the concluding calls to action. Transitioning all the way down to the very bottom of our source material, after taking you through the emotional highs of the sunrise, the sheer physical peril of the cliff, and the philosophical weight of Winston Churchill, it serves up this ultimate motivational directive. Keep pushing forward. You are capable of amazing things. Congratulations. I mean, that is pure, unadulterated emotional encouragement right there. It essentially acts as your personal cheerleader at the end of the visual climb. Notice the structure they use, too. It's a command to keep going, a validation of your inherent worth, and a preemptive celebration of your future success. It wraps up the entire experience with a really neat, highly energetic bow. And this brilliantly illustrates the complete formula at work. When we take a step back and look at these distinct components, we can see exactly how they synergize into one highly engineered piece of motivational media. Step 1 hooks you with that upbeat greeting to set the mood. Step 2 utilizes universal visual metaphors, the sunrise, the peaks, the flag, to bypass your logical brain and speak directly to your emotions. Step 3 uses an authoritative anchor, in this case a famous quote, to give the emotional high some intellectual legitimacy. And then Step 4 delivers the final call to action, sending you off with a massive burst of validation. It is literally a perfectly calibrated machine, and it's designed to do one thing: generate inspiration. So, the next time a piece of media like this crosses your feed, you're going to know exactly how it's trying to work its magic on you. But hey, understanding the tool doesn't make it any less useful. In fact, it allows you to utilize it even better. So I want to leave you with this little thought experiment to chew on. When you are facing your own precarious peaks in life, your own jagged cliffs and super long climbs, which layer of this motivation actually drives you the most? Is it the promise of the new morning, the authoritative wisdom of the people who came before you, or is it just the simple, stubborn courage to continue? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I absolutely cannot wait to unpack our next topic with you. Until then, keep climbing.